Okay, so this is the connector that powers the AC compressor clutch. And if you look right here on the blue, there is some exposed wire there. And I'm pretty sure the blue is positive because there's a black. Black is almost always the ground or the negative. So if the blue is touching anything that is metallic that's connected to the car, which down there is metallic, it would create a short and cut and blow the fuse every time. So I'm going to go ahead and use some ultraviolet curing resin to seal that up. It's actually better than electrical tape. Okay, so I've added the resin not only around the wire, but which creates very good insulation if you do it correctly, but I also put resin in where the wire goes into the connector because it was moving around a little loosely. I don't think that was a problem, but just as a preventative, I did that extra. Now, I know it looks like the wire is exposed here, right in the center of the screen, but that really is because of the transparency of the resin. It isn't exposed. But just to be on the double or even triple safe side, I'm also going to wrap a little electrical tape around the whole thing. Well, I couldn't find my darn electrical tape, but I may have done something even better. What I did was I took some shrink wrap tubing and I sliced it lengthwise and slid it onto the wire and then glued that with that same resin glue and then applied some heat. And again, I know in the camera it might look like that's split, but it's filled completely with resin. So I think we have really good insulation here. But just to be either quadruple or quintuple safe at this point, I also put some very tiny zip ties around the shrink wrap tubing, just for extra sturdiness, and they're on there real tight. Nothing's moving. So that wire is definitely insulated now. The other thing I did is I inspected the harness, and as you can see, the pins aren't burned, there's no melted plastic, which tells me the short circuit didn't happen this far down. It probably happened here, and it touched some metal that was grounded, and that was what kept blowing the fuse. But we'll see. Okay, so as we return to this, I have taken the liberty of zip tying the wire to this bracket here. Previously, this wire was routed all the way and touching that metal, and I think that's where it was grounding out. Anyway, it's now kind of suspended in midair, so it can't touch anything. Plus, it's double and triple insulated with resin and the shrink wrap, and then the zip ties around the shrink wrap. So I really went to town on that. Okay, and I also noticed the pressure sensor that was not staying in its harness. There's a microscopic piece of plastic inside that had cracked off, so it wouldn't stay locked on the way that one locks on. So I went ahead and zip tied around into the bottom, which, by the way, was a lot tougher than you might think, but it's on really, really good. And I also zip tied that wire up here so it's kind of suspended and not touching any grounds. Of course, they're all insulated, but we saw that that little tiny piece of wire was exposed. So let's hope for the best. Okay, the problem is solved. It really was that tiny, tiny piece of exposed wire from the flawed insulation at the end of the wire connector going into the AC compressor clutch, that little blue piece that I resined and covered and did all that I did. That was the whole problem. And if you want proof, not only have I let this car run with the AC on for a while, I'm going to go ahead and show you that red fuse right there. That is a 10 amp fuse, and that's what the factory spec is. It's 10. It's either 10 or 15, but I put a 10 in. And remember, it was blowing the 30 and 35 amp channel before that. So now it's got a 10 amp fuse, and if you see, that is the element inside, or the filament. I'm not sure what the term is, but you can see it's not blowing. It's fine. Now I'm just going to go ahead and rev the engine for you. Okay, that behavior would have blown the 35 amp fuse before the repair, but now it is absolutely fixed.